This weekend, we celebrate the 5th Sunday of Lent. In the first reading, we hear from the prophet Ezekiel, who had a tough message to communicate to the people of Israel. They had been in exile for a long time and were beginning to lose all hope that their land would ever be restored to them. Ezekiel had to tell them, "Don't worry, God will save us, but first things will get worse." However, in this week's reading, we hear the portion of the vision where God says, "I will open up your graves and have you rise from them." I think we can all relate to times in our lives when we were really struggling with something. We were praying and praying and praying, and rather than things getting better, it seemed like it was getting worse. However, as I reflect on those times in my own life, I can see how God was moving even in those times when I thought He wasn't there. And then I was able to recognize the restoration of whatever I was struggling with. So God is really reminding us in this first reading to trust in Him. In the Psalm response, we're going to pray, "With the Lord there is mercy and fullness of redemption," from Psalm 130. And in the second reading, Paul's letter to the Romans, he reminds us that the Spirit of God is alive and dwells in each one of us, restoring us and raising us to new life. So as you read the readings this weekend, I think you'll find this theme of restoration of life throughout all the readings. In the Gospel, we have the story about the raising of Lazarus from the dead, this miraculous resurrection of a friend of Jesus who was completely dead yet restored to life. So as I think about this in my own life, I can think about different types of resurrection. Of course, there's the miraculous resurrection that we hear about in the Gospel, but there's also those resurrection periods or restorations of life we have when we turn away from sin. Maybe some of you had the opportunity to go to the reconciliation service this weekend, and that feeling that we get after going to the sacrament of reconciliation, of being more united with God and letting go of whatever sin was separating us from God at that time. That is a resurrection opportunity or a resurrection moment. There's also those resurrection moments where maybe if you think about the first time you really owned your faith life. For me, it was back, I would say, early college, which is not a common time for a lot of people. For a lot of people, that's maybe a time when they get furthest away from the faith. But for me, that was a time of great spiritual growth for me. So that was a resurrection moment for me in my life. And then we have those mini resurrection moments in our lives where maybe with an encounter with somebody else, a family member, a friend, a coworker, or maybe even a stranger, when we recognize God's presence in that conversation where maybe we say something or something is shared with us, and we recognize it as, you know what, that didn't come from me or this person. That's something God wanted me to hear right now. That resurrection moment where God says, you know, I need to breathe some new life into you, into your faith life right now. So as we prepare for the weekend and pray over these readings, something you might ask yourself is, what in your life needs a resurrection right now? What in your life is God asking you to let go of in order to receive that gift?